All right, here we are. What's up, everybody? Welcome to an impromptu edition of Here Labs Live, not DeltaFi, as we had scheduled. A couple things came up. They just do, one of the things is like Dan and Rob, they're not YouTubers, right? They're not sitting around saying, what kind of content can we create today? They're building a company, a network, a product. And as much as I love having them on, it's basically the highlight of my week getting on there with the squad. They're busy, they work in the city, they stream from home, sometimes they can't make it, and in this case had something came up for Rob in particular as he was racing home to get on the stream. So Messi and I, in lieu of that, decided to outdo ourselves, and in the last hour we have just locked in special guest Daniel Sesta to come and hang with us on Friday with the replacement episode of DeltaFi. I don't have to tell you how dope that is. If you've been around in the market the last little while, you must be well aware of the rising star that is Daniel Sesta, the hero of the people, I'd say. What do you want to call him? The Frog Master. Guy's an absolute ledge. I've had the privilege of talking to him a few times now, and every day, if you follow him on Twitter, he's actually the one person on Twitter who I have notifications on for, and it's just good energy. The guy likes to give back. He likes to make sure everybody around him is winning, carries everyone in his circle with him along the path to success. So I can't wait to pick his brain and just get him on there. If you've heard him on, he's done some Discord AMAs recently. And for those of you who don't know, he is the founder of Popsicle Finance, as well as Time, the lead dev there. Kind of came up with that whole sweet baby of ours. And of course, Abracadabra.money. The token is Spell. So can't wait for that. So that's pretty sweet. That literally is hot off the press. In fact, I'm going to retweet it right now. All right, so let's get into the charts today. Admittedly, I was actually planning on taking kind of a back seat on the panel today. I was like, a little hungover from the long weekend still, weirdly, even though it's Wednesday. Kind of forgot what day it is. You know how it goes. Those days come. And so I was sitting here like, that's okay. I talk all the time. I'm gonna let Rob and Dan and Messi kind of take the reins today, and go figure. Here we are, front and center. I'm gonna do what I can to drop some heat here with you guys. And you know what? The plus side is, a lot of the time with the panel, the chat is just filled with requests that we never get to. So let's get to a few of those today. There's a lot going on in the market. I wrote out the newsletter yesterday, the theme being Bitcoin dominance. Is it roaring back into fashion? Let's take a look at that to start. I do have a whiskey in my hand. So if nothing else, guys, let's make this like a fun stream. Grab a drink, sit back, relax. You fuckers probably always have a drink in your hand during stream. I don't always have the privilege. So today I'm like, fuck it, we'll do it live. Got some nice, what's it called? It's a single malt. Suddenly I'm Mr. Fancy. Oh, fuck. Can't remember the name of it offhand, but it's good. Comes in a triangle box, so you know it's good. But yeah, let's take a look at all the good stuff. Guys, I'm not going to lie. If you've been watching the stream throughout the year, we cover so many different coins. And I am blessed with how many positive DMs I get from guys watching the stream, just being like, you taught me this, you helped me there. And, they killed it on one coin or another that maybe we talked about on stream. Half of that stuff, I'd say even more than half that stuff, I don't even get in on. This might be the polar opposite of a lot of the shit you see on YouTube, which is, fill before shill and then use a big audience to try to get a rally going. You guys have been hearing some of those dirt digging threads lately. We don't do that. In fact, I do the opposite. Find the gems on here, talk about them, say that looks like a great trade. And then a month later, somebody tells me how great it was and I wasn't in it. All that to say, for the last month or so, basically since the start of September, oh my God, does it ever feel good to just feel like I've been in all the right places. And if you guys have been in the Trading Pit Discord, if you've been managing risk, that's the key, right? Anybody in any weather, you'll get wrecked. If you don't learn to cut your losers, let your winners run, avoid FOMO, wait for throwbacks, wait for entries, size down if you're getting a bad entry and you're chasing it so that it doesn't really matter. If you do all those things, easier said than done, but if you do, and you've been in that Discord, man, The apes have been crushing lately. And the nice thing is it's not like your typical, I mean, it's not a paid group at all, but like a lot of those groups, right? You go in and there's a handful of people that everyone just kind of follows. So you're never getting premium entries, right? It's always like someone says buy and then there's a fat candle on the 5 minute and it's just hectic. The thing I love about the trading pit is that everyone's kind of equal. I've got my own channel. I honestly don't keep it up to date too often. I'm more active on Twitter, so it's hard to keep both going. But everyone in there, if they want to be, and if you're doing research, like you're the stud. And I know a lot of guys today were talking about DOT even yesterday. Then today they came out and announced the parachain date, and there is just a dildo on DOT right now. And I'm gonna cope about it for a little bit. Let's go see. I've had bags of DOT. It's one I've traded. It's coming into some nice levels here. PCZ standard stuff during all the dumperinos. I forget where I traded it through here, but it didn't last long. It's a nice little trade. But it's moving today. And parachain announcement, sure, nice breakout candle. But if it is what we want it to be, if it is what we're all hoping it'll be, then this could be a breakout candle for a broader uptrend. So I will frantically be searching for an entry on this one because I would like some DOT. Feels like a slam dunk. That was a drink break. 2:30, got to drive my kid around later. Yeah, Paul Young Jr., you are not permitted to drink. Sorry to say. Drive those kids around. Can't afford a single malt, sir. Well, Crypto Dynasty, I don't know if I believe that. You told me about XRB back in the day before the Nano rebrand. I think that's like a lifetime supply of single malt. If you caught that thing 120x'd in a month, December 2017. I see you, Dynasty. LARPing over there in the corner. Just trying to catch up to the chat, guys. All right. You know what? I was feeling kind of camera shy today. Let's just fuck it. Let's do it live. There we go. Hey guys. Okay, so gonna do as much kind of chart request stuff as I can. Problem is, I don't multitask very well. So when I get on a rant, start looking at the charts, and then I got to look up at the chat, and then I'm not talking, so that the stream kind of falls flat. So, you guys let me know how you want it to run today. My plan was very much to just throw open-ended questions at the squad today and let them talk. But Ray Blocks, yeah, that was pretty sick. Glenn Fiddick, there it is. Thank you. That's what I'm drinking. Cheers, guys. It's my first one. I'm not like, oh, RT got smashed and went on stream today. Oh, yeah, fuck it. No. You know what? I'll tell you why. I don't know if it's still doing it. I'm going to push that shot live. There I am. For some reason, see, look at my camera. We're very much in chill mode today, if you can tell. See, the camera's kind of like, it's got these things. What is that? Wait for it. There it is. See that? I don't know what that is. So I'm camera shy because I don't want to have a shit quality stream. So we're going to go off cam. I've got the same camera I've had for months, but for some reason it's like somebody, it's like I dropped it or something. It's being a shitbag. So I'll go fix that. But in the meantime, it's better anyways, because now you can see the volume on the chart. I often, if I catch myself rewatching the stream sometimes for quality assurance purposes, I just cover the volume as I'm talking about it. So anyways, I got to figure out my camera thing, but it's all good. I've tried to join Here Labs Discord several times, but it always says unable to accept invite. Any idea what can cause that? Never had this problem. Yeah, Schuler. So our mods use sort of a shared blacklist from a handful of Discords. And so I always just assume if someone can't get in with these invites that they're somehow, for some reason, on that. Now, if you think that is a horrid mistake and you've always been a well-behaved sir, you shouldn't be on any blacklists, then let's see if we can help you out. Dr. Helmut, if he's in the room here watching, yeah, there he is. Good man. So DM that guy, Mr. Helmet, Doctor rather, and we can see if we can get you in there. Because we have been having that issue with people who swear they're not banned from anything, but you never know. That's just what someone who is banned would say. So this is an old chart on DOT. Let's see. I mean, it's still kind of relevant. I think, this divergence here was kind of telling, but it actually didn't really pull back that hard. kind of just like held this support overall, dipped a little below. I mean, there's no rule about support. We could have made it a big fat green bar and it's still kind of relevant. So, support, breakdown, resistance, breakdown, resistance, breakthrough, support, and now we're off. So really the question now is, as always, is it too late to buy? That's what I always, that's the question you get all the time. I mean, yeah, from the way I'm looking at it, right here, we're coming up into some other resistances. This thing, let's be honest, at some point, DOT should go into price discovery. I hate to say things like will and guaranteed and blah, blah, blah. But, if I was a betting man, I'd say this thing will be in price discovery this year. So the question for me is then what I buy here, what kind of size can I take? And then if it dips down to here, I'm underwater. It's still bullish. So I can't cut. I'm not invalidated, right? My invalidation would have to be at the very least this wick, this low, obviously, certainly lose bullish market structure if we got down there. So my thing with trading, sometimes I invest in things, ID, right? And I'll sit underwater for months and I don't really care because I'm just, I am where I am right now with that one. And I think it's going to do well eventually. But as a trader, you need to have an invalidation. You need to have something that can happen on the chart, first of all, that got you into the trade. And second of all, that's going to get you the fuck out. Because if you are in a losing trade, the quicker you get out, the better. But oftentimes, say somebody buys here because they're just FOMOing in today, and then we pull back down to here, and then they're like, ooh, I'm underwater, I was wrong, or I'm going to get out of the trade. But that's bullshit, because that bullish trade is not invalidated. It's still an uptrend, right? Uptrends have pullbacks, they have higher lows. So if trading, which I kind of just assume everyone here is doing, it is a somewhat trading focused show, or channel rather. If trading, you need to get in near an invalidation level, ideally. So in this case, I think it could just keep running. I don't anticipate right away that I'll get this pullback, but moreover, it's like, if I'm going to get in on this, I need at least a 382 pullback, 0.5, right? Here's the PCZ. The reload zone, if Bitcoin decides it's time to pull back, in the short term. These are levels that I can get long on DOT, and it's still in a bullish uptrend. Getting long at higher lows in an uptrend is really the name of the game. And the nice thing is, because that's now close to some of these invalidation points, I'll know if I'm wrong, and I'll be wrong small, right? You want to be wrong small. You want to be right big. And if it just keeps going, it just keeps going. There's other assets. It's like, no one coin is like, oh no, I missed that one, so now I'm going to be poor forever. Like, there's always another trade. And so that's an important thing to just take home with you. Like, put that in your trade journal today. Always another trade. And that may be something else to talk about today, like the idea of time horizon. I think people that come into crypto, oftentimes it's to get rich quick. And why not, right? The reason you arrive half the time is because you heard about a guy who put $600 into friggin' Shitcoin and turned it into 12 million. And you say, well, I want to do that. Cool. Play the lotto. But as soon as I expanded my time horizon and decided that I was going to be a trader, that I was going to be as balls deep in this mentally, and essentially, well, and financially, I guess, as it turns out, but you know what I mean? Like, I committed to the long game. Where am I going to be in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? I probably won't be sitting as much at my computer. Let's hope even by the end of this year, I'd like to turn that down to 4 hours a day, maybe. 12 to 14 is not sustainable. I got a kid here, I want to be a attentive father. So once I expanded that time horizon, and then I stopped worrying about every single little thing, right? It's like, ooh, there was a big rally, I missed it. I'm not even salty because I know I'll be here tomorrow, and I'll be here next month, and I'll be here in 6 months, and there will be another one. And so I learn what I can from it, and I apply it, going forward. So if that's, if that speaks to you, if that helps, that was a huge kind of realization that I had. Because admittedly in 2017, right, every time I missed something, I felt terrible and I tried to chase it. And then when you've chased it, your profits are minimal. Like, let's just say this. I buy DOT here because it's the easiest place to buy, right? It's mooning. Everyone's talking about it. Oh yeah, you're not too late. It's going to go to 100. Cool. I buy it here. Okay, it goes up here, whatever. I haven't really made that much, so I'm certainly not going to cut the position there, right? But you better believe if I buy here, maybe it runs a little bit, comes back, and now I'm underwater, like the probability of somebody then being like, oh, okay, I'm going to cut it now because for 3 days now it's pulling back and Bitcoin looks like shit and blah, blah. And so you see how you're just setting up for a losing situation. So if you're in DOT, great. It's having a great day. Frankly, I'm just happy to see it because I really don't want a situation where Bitcoin dominance just runs wild and altcoins just get shit on left and right. I hate that stuff. If you're in position for it, and you know, Bitcoin season can be fun because if you're just heavy Bitcoin, it's almost like take the month off, right? It's a lot easier than straight altcoin season where there's just 8,000 things, everything's moving, you're missing something. So there's perks to Bitcoin season if you are in position, and that was a bit of the theme to the newsletter yesterday. Was, you know, as of right now, there's no more important time in the market to know what the hell you're doing. You don't have to be a pro, but you have to establish what your goal is. Are you trying to grow your Bitcoin balance? You know, when you look at Blockfolio or whatever app you use to track your shit, are you just staring at a USD balance and you don't really care how much Bitcoin that's worth? And if you're just doing USD, like, congrats, because it looks like we're headed into a bull market, and most coins should do fairly well versus USD, even if, you know, getting plummeted or pummeled, I should say, against Bitcoin. But if your goal is to grow your Bitcoin stack, which I think is kind of, I don't know, maybe that's more of a 2017 thing, right? Everyone's like, oh, we're stacking sats because it was a massive bull market for Bitcoin. So any trade you made where you ended up with less Bitcoin was a loss. I think more and more we can get into an environment where we're just trading against USD because there's a ton of liquid USD pairs. And let's be honest, at the end of the day, USD sucks. Yeah. Inflation, 200 years or 100 years, it just goes down. But it's pretty fucking stable, right? You can go through a whole bear market with USD and you'll be a huge winner. So living in USD as your base, growing, you know, trading against it, certainly easier. But if you want to get into the nitty gritty, I mean, if Bitcoin dominance continues to rally, and I think next stop, fairly easy to say, will be up around this weekly resistance. That's a big leap. You know, that's going to put a lot of pain on altcoin Bitcoin charts. And if we really run, you know, FANG stock companies like, you know, announcing that they're getting Bitcoin, new countries announcing that they're going to take it on. You know, El Salvador getting in is like opening the gate. People like, oh, cool, but, you know, it's a small country and, oh, they have a high murder rate. Like, but then you get maybe 3 or 4 or 5 more, and that becomes a trend. And then the anticipation and the speculation is that there's going to be another 5 and another 10, and then the cat's really out of the bag. So if that kind of trend happens, ETF, blah, 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 this trend line's not out of the question. You know, fundamentally, I just still have a hard time seeing it. 60%, are you kidding me? With all these L1s and DeFi and liquidity, LTV, or, you know, whatever it's called, locked value. What the fuck? Missing words today. Anyways, you know, with all the stuff we're seeing across the board, I just don't see 60%. But then again, up here, nobody saw this coming. Right? I mean, some people might have said, yeah, that could happen. I don't think anyone saw a straight shot. Up here, altcoins, you know, you got to think back to the sentiment. And that's one of the things that's good about journaling in crypto. I can go back and read my trade journal, the entries that I was making into the end of last year. Altcoins were stupid. You were an idiot if you were sitting in all these altcoins. They were just shit. They were getting washed out against Bitcoin. There was like the sentiment of alt season coming soon. You know, you were basically a pariah. Nobody wanted to talk to you. It was unpopular. Well, it was the perfect time to be loading up on altcoins. And we're almost in this place where I don't think people can see the other side of that coin now. So sentiment wise, I think, you know, it's almost, you know, too perfect. Get that bullish reversal here. This was the confirmation of bullish market structure. That is where you have a low, you make a high, in this case, a lower high, but then you make a higher low, and then you come up and make a higher high. That is a bullish market structure reversal. And even after those happen, oftentimes it's the reload zone of that is where, you know, the bid can take place. Not that you can trade Bitcoin dominance, but if you could, right? And so this has been something I've been highlighting on the newsletter for basically months now. I think I had it here at first. But analysis about taking the latest information you have. So as it turns out, you get right into the nitty gritty down to the 88.6, and that's the key level, right? Key level to watch. And what happened? Strong move from Bitcoin. Looks like it's going to head to all-time highs at some point, and then it's just cats out of the bag, price discovery. 100K being the big number in everyone's mind. This is the chart I put out earlier. I said, hey, look at me, I'm a big dumb bear. There was arguably a short setup to take here. I did not, because I just think, I don't know. There's so many ways to put capital at risk in this market, and shorting things that are very bullish, it's just not one of them. Tempting though. I kind of put it out as like a joke, like, this is what, I feel like the old me would have done that. You see this big rally, I feel like I'm too late to be longing, so I wait for a little short reload zone and I try to short it. What's my potential upside? A drip back down to here? Cool, great trade. More than likely, if we're going to, roll over here short term, which would be totally healthy and part of a bullish uptrend, I'm probably going to sweep these highs first. And I don't know who has the balls to just like put entries here where like it's either going to be a breakout and you're underwater and where the hell's your invalidation? Like people are like, oh yeah, I shorted above the highs. I mean, it's either a breakout and you're just instantly underwater with no clear way to invalidate, or you caught the perfect sweep and then you're in this great entry. I don't know. It seems sexy if you could pull it off, but I get no edge there. So Bitcoin just looks good. So we'll see. I'm hopeful that we don't get above this level because altcoins are just way more fun to trade. And thankfully, I found myself oddly in like a lot of the right places over the last month and a half. And that's not, like I'll tell you guys if I'm offside. I'm not one of those YouTubers or tweeters that's like, haha, put out 20 ideas and then retweet the ones that work. I don't put too much out on Twitter, but I feel like it's been close to 100% lately, which just feels great. Maybe getting a little euphoric. Maybe need to, chill out, not start upping my risk on things. But we're coming into a level here on Badger. This is when I picked up actually purely just to boost my CVX CRV yield. So if you're on Badger, if you're staking CVX CRV and you put it in the Badger helper pool, it auto compounds it for you. But you can get a boosted APY if you hold a bunch of Badger. So I saw this kind of like action right here. I said, fuck it. Good enough time as any. I'll pick some up. So that's been a nice bonus. Total value locked. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Takes a village, guys. Takes a village. Appreciate you guys. Sorry. So that was me staring at the charts. Now I'm going to get back to the chat here. Lots of good action over there. And if it's your first time on the stream, welcome, guys. Appreciate y'all coming to hang out on a, what is it, Wednesday? God, I had a long weekend here in Canada last weekend. So like Monday felt like a Sunday. Today feels like a Tuesday. I'm all fucked up. Have a sip of whiskey and read the chat here. One sec. Yeah, it does look like BTC is about to break out again. Keo. We got to take a real good look. Yeah, we're going to have a good look at Secret. We're going to talk about Secret. I'm very excited about Secret. And I was loading up around that trend line breakout. And I'd say I have a pretty healthy bag, but yeah, I feel underexposed. Like I see Secret as, like something, who knows with this 4-year cycle shit and is 2022 going to be bullish or it's going to be bearish? Like, but I'm really excited about Secret more on like the year-long kind of time horizon. It's taken them long enough to really break out, but I'm going to show you guys something. Oh, Secret chart's so sexy. Yeah, we're going to chart all the Danny tokens. And for those of you who maybe arrived late, this is the big news today. We got Danny coming on Friday at 3 p.m. CST. So that is, I think, 4 p.m. for me. Either way, we'll be on. It's going to be dope. Minimum we'll have Messi and I and Danny. And yeah, I don't know about Robin and or Dan, but we'll have the three of us. We'll get the panel going with him and we'll just get after it. Who knows where it will go? Should be fun. Let me show you guys this Secret chart. We should take a really good look at Bitcoin because as easy as it might feel to just smash the buy button today because, number go up. Oddly, more than ever, we're getting into a place with Bitcoin where every day it goes up a little more locally, the risk goes up and the potential reward goes down. And that's in terms of like range trading, if you want to trade short term. Eventually, we all know this, eventually there's going to be an open interest wipeout, a liquidation cascade, we'll get overheated, right? And that's basically how I summarized my plan in the newsletter yesterday, is like, which by the way, if you never read it, you probably should. It only takes 10 minutes and it's free. It's on herolabs.io. But TLDR was that I'm going to wait for the next big FU nuke liquidation cascade, and that's where the rest of my powder's going in. I mean, don't get it twisted. I'm long as balls on this market right now. However, I have taken little bits off the table and some winning trades this month, and that's just powder I'm probably just going to wait to deploy on some big nasty, the next time the market makes me want to puke, I'm just going to close my eyes and buy support. Look at Secret. So this is when I started tweeting about it on Twitter, because I tried to trade it through here and I thought, ooh, I'm going to be a long-term holder. And then it broke down. The market was looking like shit. This was in May, and I just capitulated my bag. I said, it's not trending up anymore. I don't want to hold it. And thank God I noticed this breakout, because, that I'm notorious for that, right? You say, oh, I'm going to get out, but I'll get in when it trends up, and then you forget, and a month later it's gone. So I did end up loading up a bit here. The throwback was nice. Just kind of, aping in little bits of Bitcoin. It's a weird thing. You can't trade it versus USD. So I know a few people said they stayed out because of that. So you have to like buy Bitcoin or ETH to go and then buy this. Apparently it's because their liquidity and volume is just too low. So either way, it's at a sick level right now, right? It's at a throwback to all-time highs, basically, after breaking into price discovery, really. So this is not a terrible place to be thinking about, adding to my secret bag. I'm staking some of it. I think it's about 26% year over year. It is a POS type, delegated POS network. So I've delegated to a few different pools. And then I am also LPing Secret with Sienna. We should have a little chat about Sienna. Where's a bigger chart for Sienna? Now, for those of you who like to witch hunt people who get into pre-sales, I was in the pre-sale for Sienna. Not because I have a bunch of followers, which I don't. But I did co-found a fund back in 2018. Best described as a frog fund. I mean, there's 6 of us. I mean, it's Hxro Labs Live. We're not going to get into the fund, but it's really the crypto dream, right? A couple of regular guys getting together, say, let's pool our resources in our networks and let's build something special. Let's help new projects. Let's get access to exclusive deal flow, and let's moon it. And we did that in 2018, and it was a brutal 2 years. Imagine founding a fund in the bear market. But we've come a long way from there. MagnusCapital.com if you want to check us out. And anyways, we invested in this. So full disclosure, I have a bag. It was a $5 pre-sale. Don't have to explain all that, I don't think, but I was so sick of people being like, he didn't tell us that he had a cheap bag. He's a scammer. Anyways, so yeah, we got in at 5. It launched. Basically not that exciting because it's built on Secret Network and it hadn't even launched yet. And so when you're on an L1 that's not very hot with a project that hasn't launched, you're not going to catch much of a bid. So, but it's an investment. That's how we do. We've been supporting them, working with them on, getting ready for their launch, and they did just go live. So they're doing, whatchamacallit, LP farms. So you can actually get Sienna for staking. So I'm doing that with LPs. I LP'd most of the first, tokens that I got unlocked. So this one's looking pretty good too. I have no idea really what kind of valuation I would put on this, other than it's one of the first real DeFi projects launched on Secret Network. So, maybe something for a little PCZ, get a little pullback entry. But I'm just LPing mine. So I'll probably get diluted on the way up, but that's, it's part of supporting projects and getting in to add value. I'm going to get back to the chat here. Yeah. So Picom Bier says, in terms of Secret, check Sienna. I agree. No, it's pretty dope. I mean, think about it. And this is why I'm so fired up about Secret. Wait. Did the stream freeze? I'm looking over there and I'm still seeing the tweet, not the chart. No, we're good. Tradable sleepers in the fund. Yeah, we could take a look. I mean, our portfolio page is ridiculous. As a newer fund, as a smaller fund, obviously, we invest in a lot of different things. Our tickets are, it's often oversubbed, and so we've got a lot of tendrils out there in the market. And between the group of us, some of them I don't even know too much about. We each bring in different ones, So, and we don't manage other people's money, if y'all are wondering. If you work for the SEC, but no, it's our own thing. So I don't have what I would call tradable sleepers in the fund, but I do often talk about, the charts that I'm invested in, and if nothing else, just because they're ones I'm paying attention to, right? So 8,000 projects, obviously I have my eyes on my bags. And anyway, Sienna's pretty dope. They're going to have a launch pad, be the only one on secret as far as I know, and all the good stuff, the swaps and all that. So we'll probably talk a little bit more about that in the future. But as far as the secret kind of hype train goes, this is the other project that I think, is going to be catching that wave. And then could we be seeing a more, a broader market sector rally with privacy, right? If you guys been around since 2017, right? And even since then, just throughout, there's always just these like, ooh, which coin looks like the one that's rallying? Let's get that. And so we would have these like privacy focused rallies where all the privacy currencies were rallying, right? XMR, Zcash, Bitcoin private. I don't know. There's a whole bunch back in the day. I think Dash pretended to be private, but apparently they weren't. So could secret taking off give permission to something like Rose, which I have no idea what this one is, but apparently it is, a privacy kind of idea in the Cosmos ecosystem. So do your own research, but could we see this kind of echo through? One of the reasons I'm so fired up about secret is on a sort of macro thesis level. I just think DeFi will end with privacy. I don't think you get hundreds of billions of dollars, if not trillions of dollars, sitting in DeFi where you can just stare at people's wallets and see their balances when they send you stuff. And in 10 years, even in 2 years, in 5 years, are we all going to be sitting around like, hey, look at what Alameda invested in today? Ooh, they just pulled their farm LP. Like, is that ideal? Do they want that? I mean, yeah, there's room for psyops and blah, blah, blah. But I just don't see that being the end game. Privacy is an edge. It is also status quo, right? In banking and existing financial infrastructure, TradFi, whatever. So I think we get there with crypto. And I think if you have the option of fast, cheap, liquid DeFi platforms, and then one's like private and one's not, like which one are you going to choose? So will it be secret? I don't know. But it's the one that stands out to me right now. And then could it just be like an L2 on top of Ethereum that provides privacy? There's projects doing that. Could it be AVAX private? And it's some other layer on top of AVAX. Maybe that's the thing, and maybe that kills secret somewhere down the line. But whatever it is, I think the boss, so to speak, for DeFi in 10 years, whatever, down the road, it'll all be private. Change my mind. I'll sit at this table and hold up a sign and drink coffee. So those are my thoughts on that. And yeah, just thankful that I actually managed to act on that, because I talk a lot, but I don't always take action. So many things going on in the market. Now, this is the sexy chart I wanted to show people. I mean, look at that. Talk about, bottom accumulation range formation. Is this the ideal place to be adding to a bag or starting a bag on this kind of scale? No. Hell no. Find a reload zone, find a pullback, find the PCZ. But what we've got here is this massive kind of like, okay, came out, hey, look at me, I'm Enigma, I'm super cool. It's December 2017, everything's rallying. Wash it out. Bottom formation, W breakout, low, high, higher low, higher high. That, I mean, arguably even back here, you got that. And now we've just kind of done it again, as if there was any doubts left. Well, we can put those to rest. And so perfect example here of what I would look for is you get that W formation, and this weekly close really is signaling, right, the higher high, which says, okay, now we are in an uptrend. And when it's an uptrend, where do I like to add to my long exposure, right? On the higher low. And how can I measure and find those higher lows? It's usually with a fib, or it's always with a fib, but it's usually with a reload zone. And then if it's a really hot market, I'll get out the PCZ, the pump chaser zone. So in this case, right, this is weeks, right? So that's like February. So do we get some kind of pullback, from here? Eventually we will. And on that day, I want to be ready to add some. Now let's see actually if that is the tag. Yeah, we're kind of at the tag. So who knows? This is versus Bitcoin. So, you're making a bold bet right here. If I'm adding here, selling my Bitcoin to this, if I'm sitting in the camp of like, Bitcoin's probably headed, locally to new highs, but perhaps into price discovery, it's a pretty bold move to be thinking that Secret will outpace it, but it is a relatively small market cap. I think it's still under $1 billion. But there's no denying that this weekly structure is incredibly bullish. And what would that look like on a chaos kind of level? Let's grab that just for fun. Let's do a little chaos porn. There it is. So on a high time frame, what would a trend or an uptrend look like through next year? Are we going to get longer cycles, right? Is this the 4-year cycle? I'd love to have a good conversation about this 4-year cycle business. I feel like the whole world, at least of the 2017 OGs and before, are all like, oh yeah, end of the year, that'll be our blow off top, just like before. I'll sell everything. I'll make out like a bandit, sell the top. And then we'll have these huge dips and it'll be a bear market. Seems easy, doesn't it? Perhaps too easy. So is that alone a reason for me to just think that won't happen? No, but I just don't think it'll be that easy. Maybe it tops before that, or we just grind higher indefinitely for years. Kind of like the NASDAQ did after the big NASDAQ bubble. So it was 2017, the NASDAQ bubble, and then it's just, bottoms out, and now it's just kind of up and to the right for 10 years. Possible. Sounds euphoric. New paradigm. This time it's different, right? So cliche, but it certainly is different this time in many ways. So we'll see. It's going to be exciting to watch it play out. Secret Finance. All right. Let's take a look at that. CFI. Yeah, I did hear about that one a few times in threads. Looks like it's on here. Ooh. My kind of chart. My kind of chart. Not like not a bullish uptrend, but it's, let's see, maybe it's a better chart here. Yeah. See, I like these kinds of charts. And look, it's already caught a little bid. So there we go, right? Are we seeing that echo where privacy becomes sexy? I mean, I've already just laid it out, but my thesis, it's not just mine. I'm sure there's a bunch of people that have it, but the thinking that DeFi needs a privacy layer, banks, companies, individuals, they want privacy. Get the fuck out of my wallet. People get doxxed all the time. They get tracked. Like, nobody wants that. There's benefits to transparency, but especially with talks of regulations and everyone's like, oh no, government, this and that. Like, yeah. So if there's an option, I think that'll be the more attractive one. And so if Secret Network's going ham, suddenly it looks like CFI is catching a bid. That narrative of private DeFi is so easy to catch fire. And you just need 1 or 2 leaders, like maybe Secret Network and CFI. And suddenly next month there's 5 new privacy blockchains or L2s or whatever. So I just really like the narrative. I think that's got legs. So I'm gonna hit the old vape here. Catch up on the chat 1 sec. Let's see how much ETH has been burned in the meantime. Sorry, no dark mode. Oh, somebody told you that I abandoned CVX, did they? I wouldn't go that far. Got a lot of funds on Convex. But I'm not holding a big bag of CVX. So I guess maybe I did abandon it, if that's how it goes. How do you know that? Do you guys like dox my wallet? Do you guys know do you secretly sit around and be like, hey, RT bought this. You're all watching my wallet? Feels gross. Feels bad, man. Shouldn't do that. Sitting on the Daniel coins is almost boring. Yeah, in a weird, uncomfortable way. I agree with you. Yeah, La Chance, we did look at DOT earlier today. It's moving, man. It's sad. I appreciate I get a lot of really, and we talked about a bit about this last week, like with, how I got to pull back from just answering all DMs because it was just adding a layer to the work I got to get done in a day, and at 12 hours a day. And then, I got a family now, I got to spend time. So DMs were something I had to kind of cut back on, but I do get a lot of really good tips and ideas from guys, if anything, just saying they're trying to give back because they appreciate the streams. So for those of you who are listening and you're out there, I appreciate that. But admittedly, half the time I don't get to act on them. All that to say, DOT is the opposite, right? Like suddenly everyone today is like, hey, check out DOT. And I'm like, sweet, must be up 20%. Because that's usually when people tell you about stuff. I mean, look, DOT's been sexy all year. DOT was sexy back here. DOT was sexy after it broke out and came right into the PCZ and ran, right? I traded it. It's there. It's good. The narrative's not new. And if anything, Kusama kind of like shed some light on the power of these auctions. But it's amazing to me how price drives discussion, right? Like, is DOT sexier now because it's up here than it was here? No. But of course, now it's the buzz. Everyone's talking about it. The dopamine's running. We're all piling in. And I look at the chart and I'm like, damn, it's coming into these take profit levels. I think it'll be over $100 someday. Honestly, if you ask me here point blank, I'd say, yeah, probably someday. But again, we did talk about it earlier. And as a trader, here was my trade. PCZ, probably not taking profit at this level, if I'm being honest, especially because this was just like the announcement of parachain auctions. So it looks more like a breakout candle to me. So can I get a pullback? There's a new trade. But yeah, it's certainly not an entry for me. Protecting capital is more important than growing capital, because if you can't protect it, no matter how much you grow it, you will lose it. Quote me on that. You will lose everything if you don't know how to protect your capital. So, and that's a painful lesson to learn. Most people have to learn it the hard way, myself included. Twice through the bear market, I managed to accumulate an account that I was proud of, that felt life changing. That was like, yeah, I made it. I'm on the path. Not made it, but I'm on the up and up. And both times, 2017 peak, way down from where that was. I don't think I'm alone there. But then even through the bear market, I had a sick pre-sale that came out like 10x. I went hard in it. It's basically halfway back to my 2017 highs, and I didn't sell any. Didn't take profit. Why? Because it was an exchange token and it was only a 20 mil market cap. I said, this thing's going 100 mil minimum. Well, it's at like 2 now. So I've learned that lesson. So for the most part, I really don't FOMO into shit anymore. It's kind of a weird mindset. This is a Gann square, by the way. I just found this earlier today when I looked at an old template, and I was like, damn, we should talk about this. Is Gann going to let us out? Believe what you will about weird shit like WD Gann and all his, time axis trade stuff, but it works. It works. Like, I drew this up, by the way, this weird ass shape. Everyone looks at this, they just say, oh, that's just insane, TA. What does that even mean? It's really just a measurement of this low to the peak of the first high. And it extrapolates the rest of this. That's just like algorithmic. But it's fascinating how often it kind of plays off these levels. Personally, I find it hard to actually trade off of. Like right here, these horizontal lines here, these red ones, it kind of worked here. It's resistance. Like, I don't know where you make a trade on this. It's more for like broader macro analysis for me. But then look, like it just came up in here, bing, bing, bing. And then what? That's a stop loss, right? So like, how do you trade that? Like I said, I don't really trade off this, but in a weird way, it does paint structure for price. And then it dumped all the way down. Where? Almost to the pip on this arc. Back up, right off the Gann horizontal, boom, right into the intersection of these. Like, it's just kind of fascinating. It's more for interest's sake. So I don't know. I must have drawn this up sometime in 2020. Like early, mid 2020. Anyways, clear this arc, retest the arc, and now we're just up into this area where you could expect some kind of resistance. So I did want to talk a little bit about Bitcoin today. because we should be coming up into resistance. I mean, we are in an area of resistance. And so cat's out of the bag. We're going 100K, blah, 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 price discovery. But is it going to be a free ride? Does everyone get to board that ship? You know, is this a place where I'm like, hey, now that it's for sure going up, I should leverage long? I don't know. This was the last OI washout we had. Nuked everybody, kind of scared everyone into consolidation for a little bit. And now we're going to continue up. I think we go higher before we get the next one of these, but there will be another one of these. There always is. Even this one at 20K. I remember this one. Doesn't look like much on the chart now. This lasted for weeks. And it was up against, you know, previous all-time highs, which you can't see on this chart. But I distinctly recall this one. This was not a comfortable moment as we were approaching all-time highs. And then, you know, if you were waiting, you know, breakout from all-time highs, okay, I'm going to wait for the next OI wipeout. Well, you waited from 20K all the way up to 41. And if you're human, you probably FOMO'd in somewhere along the way. But you got your chance right here. Nastiness. That's it. Bears come out. They start talking about 12K, right? Fucking jerks. Didn't take long. We got another one. Didn't take long. Got another one. So, you know, there will be dips. This is not the dip. So I'm not adding to my Bitcoin. I'm not selling any. If anything, I'm just trying to, you know, grow my Bitcoin stack. Rotate a few alts out on little retests and whatnot. But that's something to talk about. And then the question is, as Bitcoin rolls over, maybe it does a little sideways, which would be ideal for altcoins. They can catch up. You know, what are altcoins going to do? Are they just going to rip right along Bitcoin? Like at the end of 2017, that was the most fun I've ever had. Up in Bitcoin, up in USD. Multiples on multiples. I think more likely is we do chop here longer than people want. You know, don't go straight to all-time highs. Possibly even for, I don't know, sake of punting a random number, maybe few weeks, November, I don't know. And then almost like you're asleep at the wheel, you stop assuming it's going to happen, maybe a little dejected, got washed out of a few of your longs, and then it happens. Seems like the way it goes. All conjecture though, totally useless. It'll be what it'll be, and there's no point in making predictions. So all I can do is make a plan, and my plan is, like I said earlier, wait till everyone wants to puke. Maybe sweep these highs first. Seems like a logical next target for the whales. And maybe get up here, nice little bearish divergence. You know, buy volume still not even that exciting. So, and then puke, wash the order books, retest, you know, whatever, and then get real greedy right here. Maybe something like that. That's kind of what I have in my head. I don't know. Not too many guarantees in life, but I'll tell you one. I guarantee you this. The market will get over leveraged and it will get nuked. And in a bull market, those nukes are the greatest buying opportunities ever. See if I can go back and find one. I distinctly recall one particular night. I just happened to be at my computer. It was like 1 a.m. on a Saturday night. I had a few drinks. Probably shouldn't have been trading. You know, don't drink and trade. But if I hadn't been drinking, I probably wouldn't have made this trade. But ETH just completely nuked. I couldn't even tell you. Let's see. It'd be funny if I could find it. Long story short is, oh God, I shouldn't even tell this story. It was so out of control, degen. But I don't know. Maybe it was here. It might have been here. But basically, it was such a nasty dump that, like, on the spot, I just like market longed like a fat bag of Ethereum, and it was isolated margin on Binance, and it got liquidated instantly. Like, and I mean, just within seconds, it was just like burp, 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 liquidated. And then without even thinking, and never, ever, ever, please ever do this. It was the stupidest thing probably. But without even thinking, I just fired another bullet at it because I was like, well, now for sure it's going up. I'm just going to assume it was this candle. It was something very much like this. And I just, you know, fired off like another whatever, 100 ETH long or some shit on leverage. And within 10 seconds, I was up like 5 figs and I was like, ah! And just closed it. So I don't know. That none of that was like, hey, this is how you should trade. But point is, if you can be smarter than I was that night, that was just dumb gambling. I got lucky. I woke up. I was like, I can't believe I did that. But it's these dumps during the bull market. You know, they always come. I guess that was the crux of the story. So this is just, this just isn't one of them. I think it looks like ETH's going to break up from here and go long. Can I add a little spot? Can I DCA a little bit? Sure. But this is not where I'm coming in to make, all of a sudden make big bets. Like they say, if you're going to FOMO early. But yeah, Tom Hatfield, I'm also very pumped for our Friday episode. Danny's coming on. Lido, thank you. Appreciate that. I dream of a day where I drop a quote that can be used, that can be quoted. Don't actually, but that'd be pretty cool. I like to Google people's quotes. Do you guys ever Google famous quotes and then use them? ICE is still trending up. Yeah, okay, let's get into the Danny coins. What's all this bullshit? Let's be real. I talk about being patient on ETH, and it just looks so bullish here. It looks great. I talk about being patient on Bitcoin. The reality is, guys, I'm so balls long on fucking Danny coins. It's the only thing we should be talking about today. But then, as someone mentioned earlier in the stream, it's almost boring because I'm not planning to sell. Like, I'm not even close. Of course I'm going to take profits someday. That's the whole point. But they're also revenue generating coins, right? That's why I love them. The model is great. When Popsicle Finance goes live, they will be offering essentially a service to LPs that will optimize their yield, and in doing so, they will take a fee, and those fees will be used to market buy more ICE tokens off the market and then distributed to the ICE stakers. So just by holding ICE and staking it, I basically get a share of revenue, from the platform. And so the question is the platform going to be popular? Are they going to get a lot of fees? Are they going to have a lot of users? Now, I don't know a whole lot about LPing, but as far as I know, there's only one multi-chain LP optimizer out there, and that's Popsicle Finance. And so it could get really greasy. Like it could get huge. You're thinking about all the major dexes across all the major chains, and then really going to be a pleb and sit there and get less yield? Or you're an LP and you're going to go plug into Popsicle and whatever it is, Fragola Gelato, or I'm shit for words today. Apparently, one whiskey in and I can't find my face. But Fragola Limon, is that it? Damn it! I've read the friggin' documents like 3 times now. But somebody in the chat, I'm sure, will bail me out here. So. Yeah, I genuinely think, for all the projects that come out and say, hey, we have this new NFT app and it's going to be cool and it's like Instagram, but you own your pictures. There's so many cool ideas coming along, but this is a ready-made thing. I mean, LPs are out here. They want yield. And if they have an option to click a button and get 2% more even, or 10% more even, or whatever, I don't see any of them not clicking it. And so I don't want to get too moon boyish. I hate to get people, I don't like to spur on FOMO and then have people making dumb decisions based on what I said. Sorbetto Limon. Yes. Thank you, guys. So for fear of causing people who watch this stream, and what my worst fear is, that because there's always someone who's in a rough spot, right? And people do dumb, desperate things when they're in a rough spot. They'll make big gambles. They say, okay, this time, just this one thing, I'm going to go for it. And so I always try to stray away from being too moon boyish on any one thing, because that one person watching might just do something stupid. None of this is financial advice. But I'm so fucking bullish on ICE. And that's coming from a guy who's just traded these coins from 2017, where it's just a coin associated with a product and a platform, doesn't generate yield. Maybe they didn't even need a token. They probably should have just sold equity in their company. I'm sick of those coins. I'm so fired up about these revenue generating, yield bearing tokens. And so the model for Spell and ICE is basically, here's the fees we've accrued. We're going to use them to market buy this token, the Merlin candle, so to speak, on Spell. And then we're just going to share it with everybody. We're going to give it to everyone who's staked. So do I ever need to sell my ICE? Do I ever need to sell my Spell? Could I write off the cost basis of those tokens I bought and just think of it as more of a passive, longer term, yield revenue generating? That's kind of my thinking. And even if I'm not thinking that way, you better believe a lot of people are. So we may not see this, like, you know, the same, we could, but we may not see the same, like, up all the way back down, up all the way back down. Because when you have a purely speculative asset, that's what you get. I'm going to pick on Algo here for a sec, because it's the only one I can think of off the top of my head. Let's go look at Algo. It's the BTC pair, so that might not be a fair comparison. But like, this is what you often see in crypto, right? Big bull, right back down. Big bull, right back down. Big bull, right back down. Because there's no real value to holding this token. I think you can get 5-7% on algo staking. And now their platform's live, and they're going to have some apps running on it. And I actually do hear a lot of really smart people talking about algo being dope. So this could change. But in lieu of actually having their, I think I've said that like 100 times today. It's my new word of the day. In lieu of, you know, aside from that, it's just pure speculation. And so you end up with a full retrace on most assets in crypto. And so, you know, I dream of a world where the assets actually have value. And I think Danny's nailed it with ICE. And the same model with Spell, right? Abracadabra. Abracadabra, bitches. And you get this yield. Let's go pick on CVX3 pool. Oops, I don't have a position on that. Anyways, this is not my real wallet, so look at it all you want. Ha ha ha. I made a fake one, so I wouldn't get doxxed, but I could still look at this stuff. But anyways, look at this. So let's see, interest. Interest rates are extremely low, by the way. Like CVX3 pool, 0.5%. You can borrow against that. And if you get liquidated, I think during the, where's the pullback? Let's go see. Like during this, apparently there was very few liquidations on Abra. Reached out to Danny and asked him about it. He's like, yeah, no, we're pretty much covered. Like no carnage. But if there is a liquidation, they take a fee. They charge interest. And there's one other fee. Let's go see if we can find it. Liquidation fee, borrow fee. Yeah, so I think right out of the gates when you borrow, you get a little fee. This fee is added to your debt every time you borrow. Yeah, so there's fees, right? So all of this action on here, which is extremely attractive, because instead of now just going and investing in, or you know, putting money into like the CVX3 pool, well, I can then take those 3 pool tokens, borrow against them. They still sit in there and accrue yield, you know, whatever that is, position APY, let's say it's 12%. And then I can still unlock that money and maybe even go buy more CVX3 pool and then deposit that and loop it a few times. I mean, the application of this is so powerful and so unique and now multi-chain. The usage will be there. MIM, market cap, you know, dollars in circulation exploding. And so again, all these fun projects, all these little apps that are like, yeah, we're going to be the next, you know, Instagram, whatever, like cool. But this is a product that allows people and whales and every entity who's already participating in DeFi to just level up. And all the fees they generate are used to just, well, not all of them. There's a split. Some are used in a little DAO pool to like help prevent certain liquidations. I mean, there's a split, but a good significant chunk of them are used to basically just distribute to spell stakers and market buy off the market. You know, let's not dilute by printing more. Let's just take that money and, you know, you get the Merlin candles. So yeah, man, I'm bullish on it. Oh, so bullish on it. But you know, can it go straight up? Nope. Do you even want it to go straight up? I don't want it to go straight up. And since we missed him today, I'll quote Dan, who should be on DeltaFi. He's on DeltaFi most weeks, as you guys know, Gunny, the CEO and founder of Hxro. This guy's an OG, and one of the things he says, you know, he'll hold, like, let's talk about Serum, right? He's one of the Serum long-term guys. You know, I think it's like a 7-year vest, and he's like, yeah, I'm not touching it. The valuations I'm seeking are so ridiculously above where we are. You know, let's pretend this is the Serum chart. This is how he views it, right? Like the anthill before, you know, whatever could be like a 10-year bull market or something. So that's his view. But he even says this, and I agree. He's like, he hates when his asset that he's holding goes parabolic, like super ridiculous parabolic, because he just has to sell it. I'm not, you know, it's not like a go sell your spell, because it is just, frankly, it's a really healthy uptrend, and the latest high came in on higher volume, so I'm not even thinking about doing that. But the point is, I'm happy with this. Like this is healthy. I like this. If you literally go straight up, the fallout from that is long and painful, and it often just takes way longer to see what you really want, which is whatever 10-cent spell, $1, right, or whatever. So yeah, super parabolic, unhealthy charts, not something I want to see. So I've been pretty happy to see it cool off here. Enjoying the ride. Does it roll over here? Find us a nice little pullback entry. Can I add to my bag? Do I want to stake more? Yep. So let's actually look at that. Let's get into the grease. Get it on the log chart. I mean, this just, so good. Always looks a little healthier on log too. So there's that. So we're actually in the PCZ right now. So we're coming into the sort of like, you got to ask yourself, was this a strong rally? Because that's where you really, on high volume, that's the best place to use this tool. I'd say it was. So if I'm starting my position here, full disclosure, I have a bag. I was loading from below. I don't think it was too low. Certainly someone that got lower, but I've already got a position. It's staked. But yeah, can I add on the pullback? You see this moving average, the 12 and 26 EMAs. They, in a strong uptrend, do make interesting levels for DCAing, dollar cost averaging. They often will get tags, and you just don't want to see them cross bearish on dailies. Once they flip bearish on a daily, you can bet you're in for like a midterm consolidation, little pullback. Now, if you want to, on an asset like this, do I really want to trade those, those little higher lows? Because every day I just keep it staked. Over time, there's another Merlin candle, and he distributes me more spell. So the ratio of your spell holdings goes up. So when you swap back from S spell, staked spell, you end up with more. So yeah, it's pretty valuable to hold. And I think that's not only what I'm planning to do, but I think that will be the broader plan. And so therefore I'm less worried about these kind of ridiculous altcoin charts you always see that are like, oh my God, it's a bull. Oh my God, it wasn't a bull. And then they chill for a bit and do it again. That's almost like just this gamified whale game where they use it to steal your sats. So have I conveyed my bullishness yet? I know a lot of you guys were asking about Danny coins. I mean, these, and not only that, the guy's he's just a gem. His heart's in the right place. Everybody at my table eats is kind of his vibe. Everyone who's involved in the things he's building, he wants to do well. It's none of this cash grab stuff. I just love it. So he's coming on the show on Friday, so don't miss it. 3 p.m. CST, hot off the press. We just got confirmation. He's going to come hang with Messiah and I, and we're just going to kick it. So I should almost stop talking about his projects, and we can let him get into the grease. Going to hit the vape and catch up in the chat, guys. One sec. Yeah, when Merlin candle. Oh, I love that. I'll tell you when Merlin candle, and this Merlin candles will come in at the best possible time. It's like, we'll see a dip. You can actually check, you can see the trading action here. I mean, watch, there'll be like a 500K sell, and he's like, fuck this guy. Send the Merlin candle. And like, we're going to make that bear regret their decision. Merlin candles, they're just there to fuck the bears. Let's get it. So yeah, let's go chart time. I actually have some shit on time. We did mention it earlier. I won't get into it too much again. But I've been following this one closely. As if you guys are in the Discord, this makes up a pretty significant portion of my portfolio. It's hard to argue with the APY. It's hard to ignore the success of Ohm, Olympus DAO, and now you got Danny out here talking about, can we make a game better than Axis Infinity that employs time as the base currency? Like, there's plans. And so at that APY, to look at it, you're like, how's price not dumping? Like, it's a farm token. But it's really not. And if you guys read I think it's block notes. I'm going to need some of my guys in the chat to help me out. Was it block notes that he put out the good article, everything you need to know about? And he did some math, and over the long enough period of time, even in something like ridiculous, like a 50 to 80% drawdown, you're like minus 1%. Because your staking rewards basically outweigh that drawdown. So the math is pretty incredible, but like anything like this, you know, seems too good to be true, blah, blah, blah. Like maybe it is. I don't know. I'm not saying it's a slam dunk, but I am balls deep in it, and I'm not selling my principal. I don't think there's any reason to sell the principal unless I think I have a better opportunity in the market for yield, which I don't right now. So yeah, here and there, I'm skimming part of my daily rewards so I can see my stack grow, but also, you know, sort of pay myself, de-risk my position, because that's the name of the game for me, right? Play from a position of strength. And once you've de-risked a position, send it, right? Whatever happens, happens. It's risk-free. So my time bag is risk-free already, and I'm actually fully leveraged over on Abracadabra, so I haven't even got access to my time right now. I've borrowed MIM against it, and I stuffed it into the CVX3 pool, and that's catching additional yield, and we're just chilling. So Blockmates, yes, Blockmates. Shout out to the guy. Follow him on Twitter. Should give him a proper shout out, but yeah. So he wrote a really nice article on time. So if you're curious about the dynamics, I mean, of course, Olympus DAO has tons of content out on it. And basically, this is a fork of that. So there's very few differences other than the fact that the fees are low here. So staking, unstaking, bonding, rebonding, all the actions you take are costing pennies instead of hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And let's be honest, ETH fees just price out 80% of the market. So I love it. But yeah, big fan. Okay, so Full Stack Creative says a 99% drawdown in time price is still a 40% gain over 90 days due to the 50,000% APY. Let that sink in. You know, like I'd have to run the math myself. That sounds, 99% sounds a little too good to be true. But Full Stack Creative, I don't know why, but I'm going to trust you, man. Point is, once you've de-risked your position, and that does take time. It took me over a month. Slowly, strategically, you know, you don't want to be an idiot and like dump the price or whatever. Like let's go laugh at a few people right now. So I watched this happen live, and you know, you see this nuke here. One of the wallets that dumped here, they sold, I don't know, something like 100 time in one shot. It's like whatever that is, $500,000 or something. And then I looked in their wallet, they still had 200 time. I'm like, bro, what are you doing? Like, I mean, some things are just too powerful to fuck with, and TA won't affect it, and who cares? But like, would you really want to print bearish market structure on a coin that you hold $1 million of? It just didn't make sense. And then, you know, within minutes, Danny tweeted out that, you know, we're going to move over to FTM and start doing some LPs over there. He's like, fuck these bears, send it. You know, like, so, you know, we can laugh at those bears, and then a few panic sellers. Oftentimes an hour later you see them buy back, and then same thing again, right? So I don't know, where does this end up? High, low? It's gonna have to swing high, swing low at some point. There's trends, there's weak hands. It's human nature, right? Candles are human emotion painted in, you know, charts are just candles. Charts are just human emotion painted in candles. But the incentives to hold this thing, and especially because you don't have to sell it, you can then just go leverage it on Abracadabra, borrow against it, and still have access to some of your cash and go farm or buy other coins, whatever you want. Then, you know, this is a beast. They've created a monster. So I'm very curious to see how it goes. I've got some TP areas up here. Again, basically not touching my principal, period. Just living off of skimming here and there on some of my rewards, because 3.3 is powerful. So I'm basically just in 3.3 mode, bonding when it's over 8.5%, and you know, taking off little bits here and there just so I can be like, hey, look, I actually realized some of my gain. But generally speaking, I can't find a better place in the market to put that money, so staying in. Shit's legit. But yeah, from some level, at some point, everything, like, what, you know, get in here, like, oh, and then, you know, what does that look like, and is that detrimental? And that will shake out whoever, you know, doesn't have the conviction or says, oh, I was just here to get a quick flip, but I'm gonna make the smart play and sell at the bottom. Like, who knows? There has to be waves. I would almost be more comfortable after we got a little drawdown. I'm like, okay, so it is human, it is real. But for now, the trend is so strong. And on the most recent dump, it got bought right back up, and that 4-hour candle ended up being a buy. Net buying. So I don't think this thing's done. Not by a long shot. And then, like we said, even if it is, at some point, that APY, for people who actually can stay staked through some of the more bearish parts, that APY should bail people out of that drawdown. So I don't know, it's pretty fucking cool, man. But it's new, it's novel, it's only ever gone up, and like I said, I'm such a fan of it. So I hate to even look at the other side of the coin, because I'm pretty much just balls long and staying there, but there's always another side of it. You get your drawdowns, suddenly everyone says, oh, it was too good to be true, and you get your panics. Case in point, like Joe is not the same as time. But for example, right, there was a time where Joe was bulletproof. Well, look at it now. But is that a big deal? It's right back in the reload zone. Like, this is markets doing what markets do. So, and Joe has incentives to hold, right? You can use it to farm. You get nice APYs, not 50,000%. And you can't borrow against it on Abra, right? So there's a lot of reasons why I just think time, major time sellers just won't necessarily come in. I think it's less likely on that one. But just for an example, right? Joe was invincible. Oh no, it's a downtrend. Sell your farming rewards. Well, we're getting into that reload zone. I'd like to see some more buy volume pick up before I'm getting back into what was a fairly sizable bag of Joe back in the day, so to speak, like 2 weeks ago. But, all markets are human run, and humans don't change. So I guess the takeaway there is, I can't tell you what to do. People are like, is it too late to get into time? I'm like, it's never too late to do a small thing, right? Buy $1 worth, buy $10 worth. The fees are low. And that is really the overarching message that I'm putting out left, right, and center, which is that don't put so much pressure on yourself. Should I go all in? Should I sell everything? Like, that's a huge decision. Very emotional. Emotions are bad. Make an emotionless decision. I'm going to make a 5% DCA purchase into Joe when it hits this reload zone. And I really don't give a fuck if it keeps going down, because it was only 5%. And if it keeps going up, great, I bought some, right? Small decisions. Small decisions take the pressure off of trading, and over time, oh my God. If you can do anything to take the pressure off yourself, do it. So yeah, Joe is actually looking better than it has for the last few weeks. I mean, at least in location-wise, it's coming into some levels. But here's the thing. It is a farm token. So you can use it to generate more of it. And if it's an uptrend, what are people doing with their rewards, right? They're reinvesting them, they're compounding them, they're stacking them. They're certainly not selling them. However, if it's a downtrend, what are people doing? They're selling their rewards. Farm and dump, farm and dump. And so the trend is so important on a coin like Joe, and it is trending down right now. Sad, but true story. So I'll wait for a clear trend reversal. It's very likely getting close, or I should say very possibly getting close. And for now, what we've got is a lower low. We've just made a lower high. So I guess the next actionable for me would be if we come in and make a higher low and then break that midpoint. And now you say, okay, well, we got an uptrend now. And even once that happens, you don't have to rush to buy, because usually then you get your higher low, and that's the real ticket. So there's some time here. I can wait for Joe. I have a bag of Joe still. It's either sitting in Hxro or Joe USDC farm. I forget, but it's muted volatility, I think, in that farm. That's why I did that one. But it's like 10% of the bag that I once had. And then some guys are like, yeah, how can you not buy this cheap? And that's, that's another strategy. If somebody just has the long game, they say, dude, it's cheap. Cheap can be deceiving. And I'm not going to sit here and shit on Joe. I mean, it's definitely in a great location to be thinking about, building a position. No doubt about it. Look at the TVL, look at the potential, Banker Joe, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I get it. But when people tell me something's cheap, and then I just if you really want to grill them on that, be like, really? Because it's all relative. Like, that was cheap. This is cheaper than that, but it's way more expensive than this. I don't care how cheap or expensive it is. What I care about and what's important to me is the trend direction, right? Things can go down further than, whatever. So I'm not saying I think it'll go down more. In fact, over the last few weeks. This is the first time I'm actually looking at Joe with the thought like, maybe it's time. Let me see if I can find you this coin. ISO. Is it still even trading? I'm going to give you guys I'm going to tell you a little story. So I'm going to tell you a story about my buddy and weed stocks. A really good lesson in here. So this is the weekly. And I had a buddy who crushed the weed stock rally. It peaked really in 2018. I guess it was, well, this thing actually peaked a lot sooner than that. Anyways, this was some shitty little weed stock. I think they did like oils or something. And he made a killing off it. And he doesn't do charts, and he's not really a trader. He knows how to spot value, and he crushed the weed rally and maybe hasn't done much since. I don't know. I haven't talked to him. More of a distant friend. Anyways, but through this, it was always like, yeah, I'm buying in, I'm adding back, because it's cheap. It's cheap. But it was a downtrend. I mean, this is a weekly. This is a gut-wrenching downtrend. And at this point here, it was like mid-2019, and he's like, oh yeah, it's basically back down to where he had originally bought it. He's like, yeah, I'm just adding. I actually added here because, he was like, yeah, fundamentally a great company, cool. But thank God I have a little, TA strategy under my belt. And when this signal fired, when this alert went off, I just sold it. I said, oh, well, negative price discovery. Let's see where we go. Well, this sure looked cheap, didn't it? But the trend was down. And yeah, look at that thing. So if I take on that mentality that this thing is cheap, and you're not wrong, like Joe is cheaper than it's ever been, but TA and a plan got me out of this thing at whatever, like just under $1. It's down 95% since then. And I don't know if my buddy's still holding it, but he, like all those dollar cost averages he did because it was cheap, they're so underwater, like dust. That's how you turn 10K into 4 cents, and it's still trending down. It hasn't reversed. So I don't know what this company does, but that's just an old story I just remembered. So yeah, is Joe cheap? Fuck yeah. Does it look like it's ready to reverse? Hell yeah. Do I want to be longer on it? Yep. But I've got a set of criteria that I need to wait for, and they're just not quite here yet. And it, I may buy it a little higher. But I don't care because the trend hopefully will be up. So be careful when people tell you something's so cheap because it's all relative and it's irrelevant if you think about what you're really in it for, which is number go up, in which case you need to analyze the trend. And Joe is trending down. We got 555 viewers in here. Good to see you guys. I don't know where y'all came from, but I love having you. And especially on this impromptu solo stream, we got Lily V hopping into the chat. Good to see you, Lil. If you haven't yet and you're enjoying what you got here on the channel, hit the like button, stick around for a while, sub, and hit the notification bell. We got Danny coming on the stream on Friday. So if you've been enjoying the Daniel Siesta coins, I always say siesta, like the guy naps. He never sleeps. Daniel Siesta is coming on this week. So that should be a lot of fun. But if you haven't yet and you want to hit the like and the sub and all the fun stuff, that goes a long way for little old content creators like myself. I'm going to get more involved in the chat now, because I want to get some requests. We are coming in sort of, wow, we're actually over the hour. Okay, you know what, guys? I'm going to stick around and we'll do a few chart requests, but I need about 45 seconds. I'm just going to run to the bathroom one sec.
Shining everywhere, no matter where you came from, love is in the air.
All right. How we doing? Decided I better pour another whiskey since we're on overtime now, baby. So, wait for the chat to confirm. I think we're back, though. All right. Chess, Everett, Maple, Cake. Dude, let's talk about Cake for a sec. Drop some alpha in the chat, boys. What's going on with CZ? Is he jumping on this incentives train, pumping $1 billion? Because that's... Excuse me, that's not nothing. Might be worth taking a look at. I did look at the chart today. It seemed kind of underwhelming for $1 billion, but that might be good news. The volume is clear. That is a breakout on volume. And I suppose if we close, it's funny, it's like I'd almost be more impressed if the candle was higher, in which case I'm actually less inclined to buy it. Now, I don't know about the tokenomics for Cake, right? Are you farming it? Is it over there on PancakeSwap and it's got some inflation? Like, you got to do that kind of research these days. It's so critical. Being Mr. Chart, I often overlook that, at least on stream. But all things considered, we've got what I like to look for in the chart, which is rally, retrace, tags the reload zone, basically parked in the PCC now, which you can barely see on the chart until I put it here, but we're parked in it. And now what do we got? We got a breakout on volume. And we've got an announcement from, I guess, from Binance or CZ. I didn't see it, but I've heard about it a few times today. Basically saying we're going to pile $1 billion worth of incentives. Glenfiddich, get some, baby. He's got deeper pockets than 1 billion. Yeah, who knows? It's kind of weird, right? Because there's already a pretty sizable user base on Binance Smart Chain. It makes sense for a new chain that doesn't really have much going to be like, hey, we're going to incentivize you to come here and, LP, and we want to drive up our TVLs. And, Binance Smart Chain, maybe it's just like great marketing. Come on over. They're already still the biggest exchange by user base, I think. Don't even have to check the numbers. I'm just sure of it. KYC, all this blah, blah, blah. But, I don't know. I think it's just like flavor of the month. Well, let's throw $1 billion at this thing. BSC, admittedly, I missed. There was a crazy rallies over there earlier this year. And for whatever reason, I was still kind of Mr. like CEX trader. Didn't fully dive into the on-chain life until more recently. So, womp womp, cope life. But this is a pretty sick little thing here. If this candle closes above this level, then what we've got is confirmed bullish market structure, significant breakout on volume. Now, the one downside to this is that it's an announcement candle. So, just like audio, when they announced the TikTok integration, sick, but those usually pull back. Let's see if it actually did. We'll come back to this one, but let's take a quick look over here, because my thought when this happened was we'd lose the whole rally eventually. Yeah, so it's happening. So, usually when you get a news-driven pump like this, you end up retracing the entire thing. Just a fun little fact. See, now that's a good example. I don't know how many people watching this stream are really, truly trying to get into this thing for the long run and want to make it and go hard. But for those of you who are, you've heard me say it before. I'm going to say it again. Get a fucking trade journal. Do it right now. You got a Google account. Everyone's got a Gmail. Get a Google Doc. Call it My Trade Journal. Enter a date. And start writing in it. Every day. Very little. It takes 10 minutes. Because this is a perfect example of something that over time, because I go and write that down, it's second nature and I just remember that. So I was in audio, actually on stream. You guys might remember that day. Didn't have a clue they were going to announce this. But it had just broken out above this SR level. It had just retested it. And Solana's rallying. I'm like, hell yeah, I'm going to buy some audio. And thank God I actually did. And like an hour after the stream, they announced integration with TikTok. And 2 days later, it's sitting right up here at the chaos level. Short reload zone sweet spot. And because I wrote down in my journal previously that when you have a catalyst-driven sort of announcement type rally, oftentimes the entire move is eventually taken back. And the market, the chart doesn't really reset until you tag that breakout level. So that one journal entry that I made probably sometime, who knows, 2018, 2019, that lesson that I learned and only really learned because I wrote it down, it made me money. I sold. I got the hell out of my audio. I said, yeah, this looks good. Came into some TP levels, and I haven't looked at it since. I don't care if it takes off, whatever, because I know, having learned it, written it down, practiced it, if you will, that more often than not, these things will just get right taken back. So that's pretty much what we're seeing here with audio. It's coming into these levels, but yeah, throw that one in your journal today. If you're wondering, like sometimes you get into a trade journal, you're like, well, what am I writing about? Where's my structure? 3 questions. And I'm 100% borrowing, copying / stealing these from TRI. So I'm going to give them a proper shout out, therationalinvestor.com. That's the school that I went to learn trading. They run 3 semesters a year. So you have to sign up for the course when it starts, which is like January, May, or September. They deserve the shout out because half of, if not 90% of my TA and shit I know is from them. So shout out to them. If you guys are already there, you're watching, cool. So I'm not gonna share their alpha without giving them a good shout out. But the 3 questions that I answer in the journal are, what did I see in the market that day? Well, first off, how are you feeling? Right? Sounds cheesy, but it's important. How are you feeling? You feeling stressed? You feeling tired? Feeling excited? Worried? FOMO? Euphoric? That's a valid, it's an important thing. Self-reflect. Where are you at right now? So put a few sentences down on that. And then what did you see in the market today? What did you notice? And then what did you learn? Like one new thing you learned. You can copy paste a chart in there, which is actually one of my favorite things, because then like a year later you look back, you're like, hot damn, I was so merp on July 19th at the very bottom of the bear. And, and I noticed this or that, like, ugh. Anyways, if you haven't done that and you really want to make it, do yourself a favor, start writing in the goddamn journal. 10 minutes a day, even if it's just verbal diarrhea and it's meaningless for the first month, make the habit. I'm going to beat that horse dead. And I will also admit that I'm semi-LARPing because I don't write in mine every day. But I should. It's probably one of the most important things. So anyways, yeah, news-driven rallies like that, expect those to be taken back almost entirely. And as soon as everybody forgets that audio is the first major integration or partnership with TikTok, there will be some buy volume. And there will be signals that the whales have stepped in to put a floor in. And that's where I like to get long, is with the whales. Because they'll protect their entry, right? I can't move the market. I can't prop up a market, but they can. And so when they decide to put a floor in and they say, well, this is our entry, so we're not going to let price go below that, what better place to have your own entry? And often you can see them by looking at the volume. So they're not here yet, but I imagine they'll show up sooner or later. So also already 1,000 set projects that spread attention and rewards. Yeah. Sir, how big should Badger bag be to drive up? Okay, yeah, let's talk about Badger. I got weirdly lucky. I don't know if I can pull up Badger. I think I would. Okay, give me a sec, because that's a good question. I do want to talk about Badger today. But I'm connected to it, so I have to disconnect, because I don't really want to dox my wallet today, thanks. Yeah, give me half a sec, guys. I'm just gonna disconnect. Okay, I think that does it. So I actually had a happy accident on Badger. We can cover it. Now I was using the CVX helper, which is basically just an auto compounder. Or no, I wasn't using that. Sorry, CVX. Ah, shut up. I was using this one. You say it. I'm done trying to say it. CVX CRV helper. So on Convex, you can stake CVX CRV. And again, at the start of the stream, I gave a shout out to Noah Seedman. I think that was his name. But I'm going to give that shout out again, because a lot of what I am sharing is things I've learned from him. Really smart guy. One of the few people who shares kind of like premium alpha on this stuff. Because again, at the start of the show, we talked about it, right? Everyone wants you to be in their coin because number go up when everyone buys the coin. But when it comes to DeFi and yield and all these kind of premium, like kind of hard to find optimal strategies, if you tell the world about it, they get diluted, right? Everyone who kind of jumps into your pool dilutes your gains. And that's something that I've learned over time. Like, it's hard to find the most optimal shit. So check out Noah Seedman on Twitter. I think I owe it to the guy to post his Twitter here. Here he is. Great dude. And his delivery really speaks to me too. You know, rational, manage risk. Don't be an idiot. Don't lose your shirt. That's the kind of content I like. And guys, you know, his strategy is basically let's create a world where I live off the yield of fairly stable investments where, you know, underlying can go up or down as long as I get my monthly, daily, weekly paycheck. And that's basically my exit strategy for the market. Similar to what Messi did recently. So yeah, give him a follow. And I think he does streams too. So anyway, so getting into the CVX CRV helper, basically to auto compound my position that I had here. Was it a curve pool? I don't know. I think right here. So staked it. And again, based on sort of what Noah had told me, that was probably the best because you end up getting a few different tokens. And then why not auto compound it using this? And then you have, you know, your yield ends up somewhere in the 64. And this kind of fluctuates a bit. All that to say that then you have to have your Badger boost, right? I wanted to get my Badger boost. So based on how much Badger you hold, it boosts your APY. So I had a bit of a happy accident because you guys might remember I tweeted something about Badger down here saying like it's kind of time to pay attention. I didn't go buy any, then it rallied. But just as I was looking at that auto compounder, I noticed that the chart was down in this little reload zone, it kind of pushing into this trend line. I said, oh, fourth tag, you know, volume had started to rise, hadn't done this breakout yet, and I said, fuck it. So I loaded up on Badger just to get my APY boost. And wouldn't you know it, that bag of Badger is now worth more than my friggin' CVX CRV bag, which I thought was pretty sweet. So, you know, let's see. Badger's breaking out hard today. Just got Coinbase listing, which, let's be honest, Coinbase listings are losing their oomph over time, especially for a coin like Badger that's already on Binance. It's not like, you know, first major listing, but it's never a bad thing. So pretty hyped about Badger. It is at resistance right now. This is certainly not an area where I'm like, oh man, I better go add to my Badger bag. But because I'm using it to boost my APY, it's also not something I'm, you know, trading too actively. I guess you could say I took a step in the direction of where Messi is headed. You know, he's kind of like, I'm going to take the foot off the gas, be a little less degen. You know, instead of being 90% exposed to the major swings in the market, I'm going to maybe be 10% exposed and generate yield on the side that I can live off and then still have some degen exposure. You know, it's addictive. It's fun. You want to do it. So I took a step in that direction. I haven't made it yet, not even close, but I'm starting to learn about all these different ways to capture yield so that when the time comes, it'll be a bit of an easier transition. So I've started building some positions in these just to kind of learn about them. Because like anything, right, it's a trade. You want to capture data, right? I want to stake in this vault a certain amount, fairly small amount to be honest. And then a week later, you know, how much did I make? What was my downside risk? Is the risk reward good? You know, price of Badger being, you know, fairly bullish looking at the time that I started, I thought that's an added benefit. Obviously, the price of CRV can go up as well. Let's check out CRV. It actually looks pretty good. And then, you know, after collecting that data, then I can go back and say, okay, now I have, you know, I have data to back up my decision. Now I can start to really add to that position and over time just keep shifting into these more longer term yield plays. So look at CRV and I'll admit I don't know all the inflation and whatever. I think I heard that, you know, that it's given out as rewards a lot, so it's probably why it's moved sideways quite a bit. But this is a huge consolidation. And it's kind of broken out. right? Like we've moved across the trend line. That's the daily. And so what you want to see on the other side of a trend line is confirmed bullish market structure, right? Because how many times do you see this? You have a trend line. Again, one of the better lessons I picked up over at TRI, and you have a trend line and price breaks above it and everyone's like, the downtrend is broken. And so they all ape in, right? And they bought the exact top and then, nope, downtrend's still on. So a downtrend line does not get invalidated until you see bullish market structure on the other side, right? You need price to say that the trend is over, because how many times on a downtrend does it just do this on the line, right? So again, throw that one in your journal today. Like, you want to get the W on the other side of the trend line. So we kind of have that here on the daily. This would be the ultimate confirmation of that, but I would argue that we're on the other side of the trend line. I mean, well, it's not an argument, it's a fact, but on the other side here, and then we had low, slightly higher low, higher high. So I would argue that this downtrend is over, which means we are in the early stages of a trend reversal, perhaps confirmed now. And then where does that uptrend take us? And that's a big part of why I did finally pile into the CVX CRV pool, because I want my underlying to either be stable coins and I'm capturing a yield, because the whole point of yield is, at least the way I'm doing it, is to preserve capital and be less, a little more risk off. So if it's going to be on an asset that is volatile, it better be in a fucking uptrend. Because if this thing drops 40% over the year, like, what good is my 60% yield? It's trash. So I started building position here over the last few weeks, and this is looking good. If we close a daily above this level, I don't think cat's out of the bag. And if we break up from here, look at our fib extension, $7. That's dope. Don't make me draw a chaos level. I'll do it. Let's do a conservative one. Let's just capture off that one. Yeah, $8. So that's not bad. And you guys know with chaos, you can kind of play with them. You can draw a few. I tend to like to draw a few different ones and see which ones either makes the most sense or maybe aligns with another target. And you say, okay, we'll just focus on that one. And at the end of the day, if it goes into a rip-roaring rally, they all eventually tag. So I know it sucks to hear it, but there is no exact perfect science, at least not the way I do it. But generally speaking, it's the low of the consolidation to the high in the middle. So even this little area, you could say if that breaks out, these are some areas to pay attention to. So yeah, like, how sick is that if you can capture, what is it? So CVX CRV is basically a 1-to-1 of CRV, right? You swap your CRV, you get this one, pays out a few different tokens. Don't ask me why or how. It's just of convex and CRV and CVX CRV. Apparently this is the one that is optimal. And I got that from Noah. So he's smarter than me. He's done more research. So I follow him on that one. And yeah, I mean, how sick is it to get a yield like this when your underlying asset has potential to go up 2-3x over the next year? I mean, that's dope. And now Curve is going multi-chain, right? I think they're live on AVAX. Might be moving over to another chain. I mean, once you go to one other chain, you figure they're looking to do a whole bunch. So yeah, I'm bullish on this one. Bullish on this one. Sitting on Badger, auto compounding, and maybe got a little lucky suddenly looking at Badger right at this moment and adding to that. So it's working out. So I hope that helps some of you guys, that might be looking at yield strategies. The thing with them is that they can be boring. If you get into a rip-roaring bull market and coins left and right are going up multiple X's, you come back to your Badger thing and it's up a couple % over a month. It's not for everybody. For me, it's more of an end game. Get to a point where I've got a bag, or a portfolio that's large enough that I can set most of it, spread it out across a few of these plays, because you don't ever want to have too much smart contract risk or whatever to any one thing. And then, that the yield is significant enough that you can live off it. You can skim it, compound it when you're flush, skim it when you need it. And then still have a little degen bag on the side. And if you know what you're doing, you can just grow that into a whole new thing. So if I had $2,000, I'm probably not staking it on any of these platforms. Honestly, even if I had $10,000, I don't think I would. Some of these withdrawal fees on these are like $400. Convex is notoriously bad at that. Inefficient smart contracts. So be warned. Actually, I put it out on Twitter last week. I had deposited a reasonable sized amount in here. I think it was something like, I don't know, 22K. And I left it there for 2 months. And then I decided to come grab it and move it to this other thing, just get more active with it. Because it was like, that's not enough to really like live off. So fuck it. Nice test though. The claimable was like $580. I was like, sweet, got my rewards. I went to claim them. It cost me $400. Fuck that. So ETH DeFi in that sense is broken for anyone but, dolphins, whales, whatever you want to call them. So just be warned. Once you're into these contracts, getting out is hundreds of dollars. But it's an end game for me. So I'm just kind of playing with it, picking up data. Ooh, we've got the rational investor in the chat today, and he likes the badger. Love that shit. I don't know who it is behind that handle, but the rational investor is in the chat. It's great to have you, brother. I assume that's you, Mr. Beamish. Yeah, volumes speaks volumes. Hey, you guys are in the presence of a legend. He's humble, so he'll probably tell me to shush, but the rational investor, my God. Life-changing stuff, man. Life-changing stuff. So, yeah, where else are we going, guys? I'm going to look back at the chat. I did that thing where I kind of looked away for 10 minutes straight, so I missed half the good shit you guys were saying. Can you touch on the dynamic of quant funds like Alameda farming and dumping strategy? Yeah, I mean, their job is to put capital to work, find edge and grow their base. So this whole farm and dump thing, it sucks, right? People don't like to see Alameda in their farms because they basically have algos, I would assume, that, auto claim and then sell and auto claim and sell. So it's not great. But yeah, I don't know what kind of opinions I have on that. It just kind of is what it is. It's open markets. It's decentralized. They're allowed to do it. But I think they pulled out of Joe. So yeah, I mean, yeah, it sucks, but what are you going to do? It's a war zone out here, man. Free markets, open markets. People say, well, we don't want regulation. But on the other hand, you kind of want protection from some of the more sharky tactics. So got to really ask yourself, what do you really want, right? I love people that hit on the regulation and then there's a rug pull and they say, we need to be regulated. There's ways to win in this market, even when you're up against, major funds and all that. But it's a good reminder that you are at open war with smarter, bigger, deeper pocketed individuals. And the market will take every single dollar you have if you let it. Market doesn't give a fuck. Guys get liquidated every day. They disappear. Market doesn't even blink, right? So the market's not going anywhere. So that really goes back to the whole protect your capital thing. How easy it is to want to buy Bitcoin at these levels. Where's my Bitcoin chart? Let me get a cleaner one. It's a bit of what I wanted to talk about in the newsletter yesterday, but I didn't really know how to put it into words without writing an essay. But it's fascinating to me, endlessly fascinating. And this is why I love this stuff. Once you really apply like the human psychology part of this, to me, it becomes interesting, right? Like as a kid, I'd be like, oh, this is dusty. It's boring. Price up, price down, who cares? But once you start to think about it as like human emotion driven, you can see human emotion on the chart, right? You can see panic, you can see anger, you can see depression, you can see hope, and so it's just fascinating to me how hard it was to buy Bitcoin here, right? The sentiment, how fearful it was. But as it turns out, as it often is, after long little moves down and sideways and into sort of support throwback levels, objectively speaking, those are the best times to take risk in the market. Because every time you put money into something, you are risking. There's some level of risk. No free lunch. So you have to choose, where do I want to lay my risk? This is probably, these pullbacks, they're always the best places to do it. But it's so fucking hard. The fear is strong. Meanwhile, right up here, not only is it easy to buy Bitcoin today, it almost feels stupid not to. Right? And some of you are probably like, no, like I'm not an idiot, RT. I know not to buy after whatever this was. What was this? 30%? No. Oh, fuck. 39%. Shit. Didn't even know it was that much. Right? Like, some people watching, if you have rules, like I know a lot of guys that trade over at TRI, they just have rules. They say, I can't buy up in short reload zones, or, I can't buy against highs. Like, I can only buy in certain dip levels. But for the most part, emotionally speaking, today and through this, it's so much easier to just go skim bags and just ape into Bitcoin and be like, haha, I'm on board for the ride. So I don't know. I find that fascinating. And more as time goes on, I try to recognize those moments and then counter trade them. So I'm not adding to my Bitcoin bag today. I'm not shorting it, but I'm not adding to it. There will be a time to add, and it might be a higher price than this. But structurally speaking, it'll be safer. I'll have invalidations, right? If I added here, I'd have to cut my position here. That would be my invalidation. So it's a trade. Might work out, but over time, that's just not the one I want. But yeah, if you guys, beyond just trying to make money in here, find your passion. For me, it's this TA stuff. Some people don't like TA. I find it endlessly fascinating. Yes, we'll look at one. Sorry, we're getting back to the chart. I'm rambling so hard. Let's go back and do some requests. TLDR, CRV looks great. I kind of want to add to my bag, but going back to that whole story about not buying a 4-hour green candle, but let's see. Let's check out Harmony. Harmony is one of the earlier launch pads on Binance from back in the day. Kind of like there's a few of them, Matic, Seller, whatever. Harmony was one. And one thing I love this year is like all these L1s, all these white papers are actually turning into networks you can use. So couldn't be more pleased with that. Finally, like real products. Not sure how I would start this thing. I mean, if you didn't already love the reload zone, let's flex it one more time. Because there is a time to be thinking about adding to positions, and it's always in these little reload zones. Strong thing, strong rally, like, oh my God. Again, so easy to buy through this, right? Number go up, everyone's talking about it. Of course, all the predictions on price around this level are like 10x higher. But they almost all come back to these levels. And then once they're down here, how hard is it to buy, right? So again, having that plan, having these kinds of little tools and systems and rules, and then just moving slow, right? If I'm trying to go all in on something, I better be fucking perfect. I better be right. It's too much pressure. I bet we're at a chaos level right now. Yep. So we're coming into chaos. Price is doing what you might expect, right? A little bit of resistance. Nice high in volume though. Not on the most recent high, right? You know what I always say, like on the highest point of price, I want to see the highest volume. That usually tells me that, that the high's not in yet. But whatever, it's trending up. There's no real reason to, panic here. I'd probably look, because I kind of would like some. It was Coach Popovic telling me about one the other day. I didn't end up getting any because there's just too many things in the market, but nice little level coming in here. So that might be one to pay attention to. What is that? 18 cents? So for those of you who are on the Harmony network, is there shit to do over there? Next, I don't know how to say your name, Next Soifi, but we did chart ICE, I think, and Spell. Talked a lot about those actually. ICE going down, please chart. Oh my God, okay, is it panic time? Is it panic time for ICE? In a weird way? Yeah. Oh, look at that, somebody's selling ICE. Let's go look at their wallet. How much did they sell? $63,000 worth of ICE, God damn it. Don't you know we're supposed to go to the moon? If you haven't yet, check out ChartX Pro, it's pretty dope. Really cool tools. Yeah, looks like people are selling ice. Who knew? But that's the nature of, that's the market, man. There's people that are in big profit and they want to capture some of that. And if they see signs of weakness, they're still up, they'll rush to capture it. And then what happens, right? The people who bought the top, probably with too much size, because that's the way it goes, you get greedy. Then they panic, they sell at a loss, and you get your retrace. That is why pretty much every chart just has a zigzag pattern. So I don't know if I want to count that wick because it's weird, but coming into the PCZ, I don't think I can count that wick. It's just too weird. It looks like one massive slippage buy on Sushi Swap. So the best liquidity for ICE is over on Spirit, on Phantom, which is, if you haven't yet, bridging is actually quite easy. It's not as scary as it sounds. Uniswap is probably the one I'd recommend. It's basically like just doing a swap on Uniswap. You just pick this chain, pick that chain, swap it to the same wallet. So that's where the liquidity is. It looks like this, it's probably happening on Sushi. But yeah, once we get down into here, I want more ICE. So I welcome this retracement, correction, whatever you want to call it. This is the first major area of interest. And if we have to go into doomsday mode, don't know why we would, because they're about to launch, and I think their product is going to be extremely profitable, or popular, which means the N ICE rewards should be fairly healthy. And let's not forget the supply is somewhat limited on ICE. If you haven't yet, I'd recommend you go read their docs. But they burned quite a bit of the supply. So, total supply 24 million, half that's in circulation. I don't know if it's here, but yeah, go find the docs. Find them your damn self. But in the docs, you can see the new tokenomics after they burned like millions of these things. They had a governance vote to do that. So I think this one could end up being seen as a fairly scarce sort of yield-bearing asset. Same old story. If things go to plan, if they come out, the users come in, the fees, accrue, and they're not paying you with newly minted ICE, right? It's getting market bought and distributed. So not scared at all with what I'm seeing on ICE. In fact, during this, I was kind of thinking, damn, I should have bought more. So I welcome this, and we'll get some weekends out of the game. I'll add some to my position, and then they'll launch. Webcams chat. Damn it, do we have a mod in here? Victor, are you around? Kick out this spammer. I don't even know if you can just put user in timeout. Such a silly way to put it. How about ban? Let me get a ban hammer in here. Flashbot attack. Okay, so it looks like somebody in the chat mentioned this was a flashbot attack. I don't know what that is, but it sounds fancy. Oh, yeah. I know what you mean. Like a sandwich bot. Oh, it's so savage. So if you want to try to avoid that, let me just double check that I'm not doxing myself before I put up my Dex tools. I don't think your wallet shows on Dex tools. I mean, it's not a massive secret, but all things being equal, I'd rather the whole world not watch what I'm doing with my funds, but bullish on the secret. Okay. So if you're not already on Dex tools, super cool platform. Check it out. And we could maybe go see ICE. Yeah, on Sushi. And the thing I like about this, and you can see the sandwich bots do their work, and I mean, it's just savage. So we can see a guy here. Somebody came along, they're like, I would like to buy 1,479 of your finest ICE tokens, sir. Bot sees that coming through the mempool. They jump in front. They say, I'm going to buy 661 right before you. And right after they buy it, they dump it back on their face and make a little money on the spread. So it looks like, and sometimes they get rinsed. I love seeing that too. The bot just buys and sells to itself and loses money. Ha ha. But sometimes it's so savage where it's like in front of your buy, there'll just be like a 200 ETH buy. And then you end up purchasing up here and then they just smash it back down. Ugh. I don't know what the parameters are, like why sometimes it's so massive and other times it's small, but my God, Always feel bad for those guys. So if you're trading on the DEXs, I would recommend keeping an eye on this. And if you set your slippage really low, so your max slippage is like 0.1%, you'll get some failed transactions, but you'll avoid those gross outcomes. The other thing that you can do to mitigate that risk is lower your bet size. So you want to smash 20 ETH in, do it in chunks of 4. But then we go back to fees and Ethereum. All right, guys, we are getting up, oh my God, basically the 2-hour mark. I'm just vibing today. Got the whiskey. Any final requests? I think we should think about wrapping up, but I got a few more in me. So what do we got? Glenfiddich. The good stuff. Yeah, I don't know what it is. Hot girls and boys video chat. They're always the spammers in here. It's like, thank God. That's just what I needed right now. Let me click on the webcam's chat. It's always on DeltaFi. The spammer. Yeah, it's weird. I don't know. I guess we made it, right? Nobody spammed this channel when we had 8 subs last year. Can we all just take a moment and pause and just appreciate that? I started working with Hxro Labs. Their YouTube channel had 8 subs. And I was like, hey, can we grow this? It's been hard work, man. So it's so good to have you guys here. Day in, day out, working on bringing you the best. Balanced, objective, free, educational analysis. And if we can get rich as fuck as we go, bonus. But, you know, as always, like, don't come here for signals, man. You might catch 1 or 2 hot takes where you just ape in blindly and copy trade somebody on YouTube, but the real juice, the real gonna make it is learning, is picking up, you know, that same old shit, right? Learn how to fish. Because then not only can you generate income for yourself over time consistently, you could take it another level higher and help other people around you. Teach them shit, right? So, and that's why I love our Discord. I'm going to give our Discord one more shout. It's free to join. Pretty sure the description has a link in it. But more and more as months go by, there's guys in there just sharing hotter and hotter alpha, nicer and nicer charts. Like, you know, I can see the progression. A lot of really sharp dudes in there and getting better every day. So shout out to the apes. Love to see it. Yeah, Adam looks good. This is one I want. It's Cosmos. I'm a big fan of Secret. I don't really think I need Atom tokens at all to operate on Secret, right? Secret is the gas for Secret Network. I don't fully understand how all that interop works over there, but IBC is a big thing. Let's go see it. God, are we going to do this live? I keep hearing about IBC coming up soon. Apparently it's a big deal. So that's, I think, somewhere near the end of this month. And that's what the interconnectivity, like, that is the interop part of it all. Yeah, IBC. So look into this yourself. I won't do it live in the air because it's probably going to include a bunch of reading. So it's not going to make for great content, but that's something to look into. Little birdie did whisper to me quite recently. Actually, I heard it from a few different places that's kind of a big catalyst coming up. So that could be huge, especially for the more sort of, how will we say, isolated parts of the Cosmos ecosystem. So if that IBC, if I'm understanding it correctly, totally on a whim, I think it's basically going to, you know, connect them all. So it should open up a lot of liquidity and whatever activity between chains. And it's well, no, it's not but it just tapped the PCZ kind of at a retest of all-time highs. You know, nice volume rising into the highs. This was the nuke the other week, so I don't know. I think I'm ready to start an Atom position. Yeah, I'm gonna put that on my list today. Right? It doesn't have to be a big decision. No leverage. I don't need to make it next week based on an Atom long today. But got a little dry powder. I think I'm going to go put a little Atom on the books. I've almost never held any. I traded it once last year, but I'm bullish on Secret. I'm bullish on Interop. And I think it's like past time that Atom kind of came on the scene, right? Cosmos was a hot idea early on. And like a lot of these white paper projects, I think they're on the verge of really putting it out there. So, I mean, look at that. Yeah, look at that little squeeze there. We got a nice little support level, trend line. I love that shit. So that's looking pretty good. Actually reminds me a lot of Badger. Very similar. And there's some that would say wait till it breaks through the trend line, do the whole W thing. On the right market conditions for the right reason, I will front run that. In Badger's case, remember, I was just getting it for the yield boost, just a happy accident, but similar kind of thing, right? Consolidating down into a horizontal, forming a really clean trend line. So you would be front running. There's risk with front running because you're either buying the exact top here at resistance and then you just bought the top. But if you do front run, because sometimes the breakouts are strong and then you're like, damn. So once again, if I make a small bet, doesn't really matter right or wrong. And then if it breaks out, I can buy the retest, add to it. So Adam, great call. Thank you for that. Let's go on to Ren. Ren is showing some sick volume on the weekly. So we'll start there. Really like what I saw from Ren the other day. I was looking at it. So right here, right? Nice volume. Okay, big rally, nice volume, big rally. Well, we got new highs in volume on the weekly. So that's some pretty powerful stuff. I would be looking for a entry on a pullback here. This is a weekly, so it could take a while. But, we're coming into that sort of level. And all this, caveat emptor, like Bitcoin dominance is looking stronger than it has, in just over a year, like since last December, basically. So if I'm taking capital and putting it into alts, I have to be, aware of what my goal is. Ren USD, new highs in volume, trending up, making a higher low here, looks like. Great. But what is it doing versus Bitcoin? It's not terrible. I've seen worse charts, but it's not quite as bullish. So I just have to be aware of what is the plan. If I'm going to use USD to buy it and I'm going to try to, sell it for more USD, don't care what Bitcoin does, cool. But if I'm going to be all butthurt because versus Bitcoin it comes down here while trickling up versus USD, I should probably think about that before I ape in. It's an unsettling fact, but when we're in a possible trend shift on Bitcoin dominance, you have to think like that. Because if you just joined crypto this year, nice life, right? You've never seen Bitcoin dominance rally. It's only dumped all year. But for those of us who are around through this kind of stuff during the bear, even through this at the end of 2017 before the big blow off rally, this stings. Stings. And then the Bitcoin maxis get super loud on crypto Twitter, and every altcoin's just shitting out versus it, and it'll get to you. So just be aware. Like Solana looks like trash versus Bitcoin. Hate to say it. Love the team, love the project, but once this broke down, actually it happened on stream, where was it, last Friday or last Wednesday? That's confirmation of a bearish downtrend. Got the retest. Everyone who wanted to at that moment got the fuck out. That's why it was resistance. And it's going to just trend down now. So this squiggly is my very loose idea of how this, in my mind, will probably play out. So yeah, I can hold Solana, but at this point, I'm actually better off in Bitcoin of the two. Even though, long enough time horizon versus USD, I think Solana probably has more multiples in it. But, get what I'm saying? There's an ebb and flow in the market, and it is shifting a little bit right now. So just be aware of the BTC pairs if that's something that you care about in your trading plan. So Atlas is one I featured. It's the first altcoin I featured in the newsletter for weeks, actually, since the L1 hype train. And it's because I was talking a little bit about NFTs and gaming. So I did want to bring it up today. It's one of our final requests. Say maybe one or two more. So here's the thing, and this is admittedly even tricky for me here because okay, we're downtrending, the hype launch, great. No way I'm touching that. Thank God. It gets washed out. I think the pre-sale IDO buyers are still way in profit even at this level. So you have to be aware, right? There's a lot of baked in sellers here that'll be at a profit even if they sell the lows here. So that's something to consider. But then you get this nice breakout on volume in the reload zone. So I'm like, great, it's waking up. So I picked some up, got to resistance. I ended up cutting my position initially somewhere around here, and then some more of it here, smaller profit still in it. Because of the Bitcoin dominance thing, I was like, this is one of the ones I can cut. So we don't have a confirmation of trend reversal yet. We just don't, right? Because even in a downtrend, you get nice little rallies. And so that, for now, technically, that's all this was. It was just a bearish retest in a downtrend. So can I then, can I justify taking risk here, where I take that low to that local high, say, oh, we're in that reload zone of a larger reload zone, RLZ within an RLZ. It's a great location, but technically it's in a downtrend. So I'm still in some ways tempted to take a trade here. So I take the long, I risk to this low, we got the volume, we're in the location. But if I get stopped out, I got only myself to blame because it is trying to long a downtrend. Alternatively, the more conservative play would be wait, as painful as that might feel, and then wait for something like that. Because once you close and trade above here, now you're technically in an uptrend. So yes, you're buying at a higher price, but the probability of you now buying something that will continue upwards in that direction is increased significantly. And I guess the third option is to do partials, right? Little long here, add to it if we get that. And then basically you got to cut everything if you go down below that. That would invalidate every bit of what I just said. And why not? Because if it goes below there, yeah, let it go, because you never know. You might get a great deal someday. Tezos. Don't have too many opinions on Tezos. They started talking about NFTs. I don't know much about them. We can do a quick... I know Tezos, like on the meme level, became kind of like a when Tezos thing for the longest time, right? Because it had a hype run. Well, I guess it did sort of in the spring, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know why. I've never been that excited about this one. Doesn't mean it's not good. I miss all kinds of great things in this market, but for one reason or another, Tezos just, I don't know. Never looked into it. Looks really good though. Rising volume as the price goes up, so that's generally what you want to see. Put a fun little chaos level for a pie in the sky target. I don't know how relevant this one is. It's a little aggressive. Let's give you something a little more realistic. So you have that consolidation. Take the low right, midpoint high. Kick out the chaos, and would this mark the top? Who knows? Will it get there? Who knows? But as far as my trade plan goes,